Hello, and welcome to It's Already In You podcast. We are your hosts, Liz
and Janine, nutrition and movement experts, mothers and business owners obsessed with helping you quiet the noise of diet culture.
Seeing through the false advertising and promises of our food and fitness industries, helping you discover that everything you need to upgrade your health and well-being is already in you.
Hey everyone, we are back after our last episode of giving some tips and ideas and recommendations about what we think is really difficult during the holidays and heading into the new year. Today we're going to give you some tips and short, small goals and ideas about heading into 2025 that's only just a couple days away. I can't believe it, 2025.
Crazy.
Not only can you use these heading into this new year and when all of this goal setting and time to reset, renew, comes into our lives. But you can use these ideas and smaller goal setting tips throughout the year.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it's important to think about, the new year or goals or whatever is just like an opportunity to kind of practice how you might approach those any time of the year when you want to take on a new challenge or you want to remotivate yourself. And I know last week we talked about, maybe the traps that you might fall in or social media or marketing that might really kind of lay it on heavy that one, you have to have a new year, new you goal, mindset, whatever that might be. You don't need to, if that doesn't feel right for you right now. And then also how it can really feel like you have to do all the things. Like you have to like eat the food, run the miles, do the things. And we talked about, how that's not actually possible. It has to be small choices and steps consistently, and you add on to those. And so this week we want to kind of, like as Janine said, jump off of that and talk a little bit more about specifics that we feel are really powerful when you are reigniting something or recommitting something in your lifestyle practices and in your habits. And so we're going to go back and forth and talk about some tips, some ideas, what that might look like. And so for me, when I am taking on something new or something maybe that has faded that I want to recommit to, I really think about my why. I think about it, I write it down, I talk about it with people who I trust and maybe are like-minded people, because the actions are great, the getting up and the doing the physical things, whatever that might be. But if you're not motivated by a why, if you are not secure in the reason why this is important to you, why it's important for your health, your well-being, that it's going to be really hard to stick to it, because you're going to have unmotivated days. You're going to have days where you don't want to do the actions. You don't want to do the things, but the why that leads you supports those actions. So I would say if you are starting out this new year anytime with a new goal, is to open up your journal or a piece of paper or the notes in your phone and think about, why is this important to you? Are you doing it because you think you should? Are you doing it because of the way something feels in your body? Or maybe you want to try something new that you've never even tried before. But take the time to really think about that and know that what you come up with at the end, like what your why is something that you're going to be revisiting, especially in the beginning of any new habit. So that would be my number one tip, or my first tip, is really dial into your why. What's yours?
My tip, I love the dial into the why, because that I think needs to be more focused on all year through. I would say the smaller goals, like reach them and set multiple small goals, even maybe some that build upon each other, so that you can accomplish them, so you can get an achievement, so you can feel like you reached them, instead of setting these big, huge goals that maybe will take time to get to, or, that you're constantly chasing after and that you're feeling bad about not reaching them.
Yeah.
So for an example, if you wanted to start running, instead of saying, January 1st, I'm going to start running and I'm going to go out and I'm going to run 3 miles, you're just going to say, on January 1st, I am going to go out and I'm going to walk for 5 minutes and run for 30 seconds and leave it at that.
Yeah.
And if you reach that goal, yay you, and make the next week maybe a little bit longer of a run, or walk for 10 minutes and run for 1 minute. And really think about setting reachable goals that are not too far off of what you're already doing. And if you're not doing anything at all, maybe just starting with going out for a 5-minute walk every day.
Yeah.
And
getting
just
up and,
moving
yeah.
and getting up and getting out, and that can obviously progress over time.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's important. I think we expect ourselves to go from like 0 to 100 overnight. And it's just like literally just like stepping outside or stepping into the gym or choosing the healthier option at the grocery store. Just like you said, simplify it for yourself and then like grow from there, because confidence builds with that too.
Yeah.
So a tip that I would have would be surround yourself with like-minded people. And it doesn't need to be a ton of people, but when you are, taking on something new, you probably need to learn some things, right? And so the more that you learn, the more you can kind of immerse yourself into running, cooking, whatever that might be. So if you are surrounded by people, or if you have a person or a podcast or a book, or you hire a professional or whatever it may be, that's motivating you, holding you accountable, teaching you if it's something that's really new to you, some tips along the way, it is going to, make whatever it is that you're doing and committing to that much more impactful, that much more effective. And then it's going to probably make it a little more fun, a little more enjoyable. You get to show up, you get to meet your neighbor and go on a walk a couple times a week, or you get to go to that fitness class and, hear the music and have fun, or whatever it might be. But when you have those connections, when you're surrounded by the people who maybe are making some similar choices as you are, and caring about themselves and their lifestyle, you will for sure have an increase of showing up yourself. If you're just doing things all by yourself and you're not getting new information or new knowledge or motivation, or like you're doing awesome, usually it will fizzle a lot faster.
Yes. I think to give yourself some grace. I think that we need to remember that it's not always about going to the gym and crushing a workout for an hour and a half or 45 minutes. Some days could be just going to the gym and walking for 5 minutes and saying, that's all I got today. Mm-hmm. And I'm going to be happy about it. And it was better than nothing, right?
Yeah.
Or maybe it's not even going to the gym. Maybe it's not going to a class. Maybe it's, I'm going to walk to the post office to mail my packages, or, and it's something as simple as that. And I think we need to say to ourselves, it's okay. At the same time, I always say to people, don't you notice that in classes, and obviously, the more structured things, numbers are decreasing during this time, right?
Sure.
Because we're all we have 14 days left till Christmas, or, or the New Year's coming up and we have all these parties and all of these things. We start to do less for ourselves and more for what we need to do for the parties or for the things that we're hosting, and it's stressful. But I think in those times we need to remember that it's small things are good too. Mm-hmm. And just as long as we don't forget ourselves, and that we don't beat ourselves up with every, thing that we don't get done in a day, and remember that is part of healthy living too. It's part of being mindful with ourselves and being loving to ourselves, and owning the fact that sometimes things aren't going to go the way we think they should.
Yeah.
But we're still getting things done that are good for us.
Yes. Yeah. And I would just say, I agree with that wholeheartedly. I would also say that is a great kind of mindset all the time, but also just be mindful that that doesn't become like
Right.
lead you to too many like excuses. Well,
yes.
You want that like balance of grace and a little bit of a gentle, like, I have this in me to do this. This is what I want to do. So I'm going to push myself a little bit. So it's
Yes, I agree.
that line of the two,
Yeah.
which I think usually ebbs and flows. Like, you have a week where you're like dialed in and I'm like doing the things. And then
Yeah.
there's a week that maybe you're tired or getting over a cold or something and you give yourself a little bit of grace. And so I think when you see that balance, that's what like you want to strive toward.
Yeah.
But in the beginning
And if you have it, go for it.
Totally.
Right? Like if you're having that motivation to get there and do
Yes.
it, that's when you take it
Totally.
and go for it. And I feel that same way. Like right now, I'm like, yesterday, I'm like, got on the treadmill for 10 minutes. And I'm like, that's all I have.
Yep.
So totally feeling the feels of not having it some days. And then when you do, really digging your heels in and owning it.
Yeah, definitely. So another tip that I would have would be, regardless of, the time of year when you're taking on new goals, get comfortable with being uncomfortable. I feel like I've heard that forever.
Yeah. I thought I coined that phrase.
Maybe you did. But I think it is important to like just know that from the beginning that there's going to be days that, I would rather do the other thing that I was doing before, sitting on the couch eating the munchies, but that felt more comfortable to me. But I'm going to get up and I'm going to drive to the class at 6:00 at night because I know the end result will make me feel better than any of this stuff. Or, I'm going to put myself out there and maybe try something new and this feels really uncomfortable, but ultimately I know it's going to be something that like teaches me something or I make a relationship. There's a purpose behind it. So I feel like if you have that mindset of, I know from the get-go that there's going to be moments that might be uncomfortable or out of my comfort zone, but I'm committed to that. Then when those come up, you're like, okay, I knew that this was going to happen, not like thrown for a loop, that it was all going to be like fun and amazing and whatever.
I wish I didn't do that workout or eat that healthy food, said no one ever.
Never.
Right?
Ever. Yes. Yeah. I mean, I definitely feel food for sure, but sometimes food can take a while to feel, but movement, I don't think anyone has ever gone and regretted going. 10 minutes on the treadmill, whatever it might be, but like moving your body is like an instant feel good.
Yes. And that high anxiety feeling that we're feeling, like what makes me like smile sometimes when I do something that I think, oh, I don't want to go. I don't want to get this done today. I don't have time for it. But then you just do it and you make time for it. The feeling afterwards of not being as anxious and being able to do all the other things with a little bit more motivation now instead of the feeling of I'm so anxious about all the things I have to get done. It actually will help you to be more productive and get more stuff done.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always like worth it. Another tip you have.
Another tip I have is to be careful to fall into I have to have a resolution. I have to have something that I'm going to do new or better or that's going to change me in 2025. Who said you need to change you in 2025?
Yeah.
I think we need to stop putting so much, what is the word I'm looking for? Stress or pressure on changing into the new year. I think it doesn't have to be then. You know, maybe you want to start a running program by spring, or maybe you want to start putting more nutrients into your diet over time. Like it doesn't have to be this pressure of, I'm making this change on January 1 of 2025. I think there's too much pressure in life as it is already. There's too much stress. There's too much, need to keep up. And in my time, we used to say keep up with the Joneses. I don't know if that's still
I
a
don't
thing.
know. I feel like our kids probably aren't ever
They
saying
probably,
that.
they
No.
don't say that. No.
They'd be like, Mom, what?
Yeah.
Who's the Joneses?
Right. Or maybe like that, do all the trends or do all the things, right? Or whatever it may be. But that keeping up with everybody else's goals and ideas of what is supposed to be needs to, fizzle out.
Sure.
We need to stop putting so much pressure on ourselves and just feel good about what we're doing.
Totally. And like we said in the last episode, that can be challenging when we're constantly being like bombarded with like images or deals or whatever might look picture perfect from the outside. And so, that's curated for, the outside look. A lot of that doesn't have substance behind it. So whatever you choose to do, and it doesn't have to be anything like Janine said, or it can be reading. It can be getting outside every day. It can be whatever it is that you feel that might enhance your well-being at whatever time of the year or week or day or whatever. So, whenever those goals come to you and you're like, this is the time that I want to like commit to something new, self-development, whatever that might be, the tips that we talked about today are a great place to start. So let's kind of bullet those tips. So I know I said surround yourself with like-minded people. Know your why. What did you say? Know your why, like-minded people. Small goals. Give yourself some grace while also staying like honest with like what it is that you want. Those are great places to start. And like we both just said, those really don't have a lot to do with the actions of like actually doing the things. It's the mindset and the mentality behind it. If you can get your mind wrapped around how you want to feel, how you want to live your life, committing to that like general kind of like forward motion, if that can stay present, if you can work on strengthening that, then the habits and the actions are going to come with that, because that's what you want to feel like. That's what you want to do. That's who you want to surround yourself with. So if that is where your focus is, I am confident that then you'll be like, oh, then I'll go to this class, or then I'll pick this food, or then I'll choose to do this, because that's where you're working on kind of strengthening. Without that, it just becomes things. And those things usually fall off.
One more thing I'm going to say that just popped into my head when you said surround yourself with like-minded people. Don't let people make you feel bad about what you're doing too. Like if you're not doing a resolution or you don't have any, big, huge goals that you're looking to meet in 2025, I feel like it's just as bad as when like you do decide to make some changes and you're hearing it from your family, friends about what's wrong. Why are you doing this? Why, I think you need to just do you. And whatever that is right now, that's great. You don't owe anybody an explanation or an excuse or any of that. You need to decide that right now this is where you're at and this is what you want, and it's okay. And that's so hard. That's so hard for us, right?
It's so hard. And when you say it, a lot of times those conversations are with our loved ones or people who love us and, friends, family, that we struggle with saying like, no, I'm not going to eat this, or I'm going to be like a half an hour late because I'm going to try to get to the class before, or I'm not drinking, whatever that might be. We feel bad or guilty about offending them or not being the fun one or whatever. And ultimately, these people are close to us. They love us. Like don't allow yourself to feel like you owe them an explanation for your self-care.
Yeah.
Because they want you to be healthy. Even if it comes out sideways, ultimately your well-being, your positive attitude, the way you feel in your skin, how you show up to things, they want the positive for you. So sometimes their own things their own issues or insecurities can make what they say or like just have that drink or just do this or just do this, come out kind of sideways. But ultimately, they want you to be healthy. They want you to be happy. You don't owe anyone an explanation. So just keep doing what's true to you and show up as your best you, and literally everything will feel good.
Yeah. Sometimes their response to you too is something within themselves. They're upset because they can't reach a goal or do things that they want, or they can't accomplish what you're accomplishing. So, keep that in mind, that sometimes it has nothing to do with you and what you're doing. It's something within them that is making them feel or act that way, or
insecure or whatever. Yeah. Well, we hope this was helpful. We wanted to do kind of like a short and sweet episode to hopefully support any motivation or any goals that you're setting for yourself in a positive way, in a doable way, in an honest way.
Yes.
We know wholeheartedly that everything you need to be healthy and strong and happy is already in you. It's practicing those really simple, beautiful things that we're all born with, and having faith that, movement, good food, good relationships, fresh air, good sleep, all of those things are really what are going to make us our happiest and healthiest in 2025 and, the years ahead. So
we're so excited about 2025 too. So we have some exciting episodes coming up, and we want to, if you have anything that you're questioning or you want to know more about, or you have heard conflicting things about and you want us to dive a little deeper into something specific, we want to hear from you, because we are excited to do that in the new year.
Yeah, so email us at itsalreadyinyou@gmail.com, or find us on Instagram. You can DM us any thoughts, ideas, like Janine said. We have some cool things planned. I'm excited for the new year and to learn more with you guys and with each other, and we had such great guests.
And a lot coming.
Yes. So, it's all exciting stuff.
Yes. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, guys.